Pretty countryside here. I've been riding for about an hour and a half in some very nice old farm roads. Very scenic. So, where am I? I am on the outskirts of Washington, Virginia, the first of them all. The plaque reads, of the 29 Washingtons in the United States, the records very conclusively disclose that this town, the first Washington of all, was surveyed and platted by George Washington on the 24th of July, Old Style, 1749. He was assisted by John Lonan and Edward Corder as chainmen. By the General Assembly of Virginia, it was officially established as a town in 1796 and incorporated in 1894. So this is the first Washington of them all, established 1796, and the road goes ever onward. This is Washington, Virginia, and that is the Inn at Little Washington, a place I've heard of but I've never seen. Somehow or another, I've managed to live in this state for 35, 37 years, and I've never been here. It is extremely picturesque. It's like a little Jamestown in the middle of the Virginia hills. I believe this is Fauquier County. That's an old tavern there across the street. I'm at the corner of Main and Middle Street. Patio's Cafe and Bakery. Constructed around 1950. My wife would like this place a lot. I think we're going to have to come here when the weather gets a little better. It's a nice ride to get here, and it is a very pretty destination. Look at this building. They're doing some work on the little inn. Not so little. Shops and ballroom. The old tavern on 411 Main Street. One of the oldest documented buildings in the town, built in 1735. Colonial balls were held in the dining room, and legend has it that George Washington once stayed overnight and danced here. Honored in their generation, Confederate monuments circa 1900. This is with former Mosby's Rangers Charlie Deer and Bob Ridley Eastham standing next to it. Confederate stack of arms originally stood atop it. Rappahannock County soldiers who died during the war. It says Chancellorsville. Some names. And a Confederate soldier. The bugle. And then we have Robert E. Lee. Manassas. Some more inscriptions. Cold Harbor. An inscription that I cannot read. And this monument is erected through the efforts and something devotion of the local chapter of the Daughters of the Confederacy and other votaries of Southern chivalry. A very pretty old school Confederate monument. This is a beautiful day, by the way, at a very pretty location here in Washington, Little Washington. Pretty church. From Little Washington, there's a number of ways I could get home. I could go into Luray and go up 340, which is what I was intending to do, and pass through the little census-designated place of Springfield, Virginia. I live in Springfield, so I would call this ride the Springfield to Springfield ride. But it's such a nice day, what I decided to do instead was get onto the Skyline Drive, which is where I am at. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking the Skyline Drive to Front Royal and then Front Royal home. Look at that. Beautiful. What a nice day. We are past the peak of the season here. The hills are brown rather than gold, but it's still pretty.
하지 마세요. 살이 들어가야 아하는.
Ah, this was such a good idea. I'm glad I took this route. The views today are spectacular. The Blue Ridge Mountains, the Shenandoah, the hills and swales of Virginia, a state that I once more like after the election. And my Harley. Very peaceful up here. Beautiful. There's the Shenandoah.